Om Stap Om Stapakaya cha Dharmasya Sarvadharmaswarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Svitva Pranamami Muhurmuh Namasri Edirajaya Vivekananda Surya Satchit Sukasvarupaya Swamine Tapahayane. So let us continue our study of this great scripture, Ram Krishna and his divine play, originally written in Bengali as Ram Krishna and Leela Prasanga and translated in English. This translation is by Revered Swami Chaitanya. So now, actually, I think originally it appeared in 4 volumes. The first volume, starting from the birth of Sri Ramakrishna to his childhood, we have finished. Now, in this volume, perhaps it's perhaps the most important volume of the whole book, because this deals with the unique spiritual practices of Sri Ramakrishna. They have been recorded in this volume, as Sat Maharaj says. So not only his unprecedented passion for spiritual practices. One senior Swami used to say, Sri Ramakrishna was a spiritual glutton. That means always hungry for more and more spiritual food or spiritual experiences. And also the philosophical truths of sadhana has been discussed here. Sarat Maharaj has recorded the event starting from his 17th year to 40th year. Probably about 24 years of the most important aspect of Sri Ramakrishna's life. Because ultimately, if you have to go as per the path shown by Sri Ramakrishna, हम सबको उनका कैसे साधना किए. Of course, we cannot ever go to those heights. इतनी करना संभव नहीं है. But at least we know, because through his sadhana, again and again, Sri Ramakrishna is giving us hints. आप कैसे करोगे? How you can do? How much you can do? कई जगह पे उन्होंने बोला, तुम लोग को इतना करना जरूरत नहीं है. Just do a small fraction of what I do. Naturally, उनका ऐसे कोई साधना के बारे में जानना बहुत जरूरी है. And actually, Sri Ramakrishna's this portion covers his entire life up to the arrival of Narendranath and others. वो तब तक इसका पूरा उन्होंने कवर कर चुके हैं. एक्चुअली शरत मास का यही बहुत डाउट था, क्योंकि ठाकुर अपना साधना के बारे में कम बता देते थे. You talk only very little about. Sometimes when he was in great mood, he will talk about his own experiences. उन्होंने कैसे किया. But all those were not in any chronology, मेरा इस साल में ही किया, इस साल में ही किया, ऐसे नहीं तो बोल देते थे. मैं पंचवटी में रहा करते में ऐसे होता था, बेलतला में जब बैठते थे ऐसे होता था. So he used to talk about his experiences. But when you write a life, आप किसी को बायोग्राफी लिख रहे हैं, आपको तो chronologically उसकी साल भर क्या क्या हुआ ऐसे कोई देना चाहिए ना. But you see, somehow we managed, because even when he wrote this book, there were people who had lived with Sri Ramakrishna, who had seen him and talked to him and mixed with him. So those people were still alive. Some in Kamarpur, some in other places. He could also talk to Hriday and others who were his constant companions. आप सब मिलके उन्होंने पूरी तरह इसके अच्छे से लिखा, ताकि विभिन्न घटनाएं जब हुआ था उस तारीख के अनुसार ये clearly given. Now in the beginning of this chapter 7, the introduction, he says, with the exception of Buddha and Chaitanya, ये दोनों हम लोग का जो माने अवतार, ये दोनों का जीवन में बहुत सारी घटनाएं, how did they do intense sadhana, what they did, definitely some detailed accounts are available. बट बाकी सबको बारे में कुछ भी अवेलेबल नहीं है. टेक द लाइफ ऑफ श्री कृष्ण, रामचंद्र, or even Jesus, or even Muhammad for that matter. See, all those things, we are not getting any detailed account at all. So, क्या हुआ? कैसे उन्होंने साधना किया? Did they really struggle? कुछ दिक्कत हुआ कि नहीं? Or were they in a different mood right from the beginning? ये सब सारी डिटेल्स के बिना हम लोग कुछ समझ नहीं पा रहे. We are not able to understand how they trace the natural cause and effect relationship between the amazing actions performed in the later part of their lives and the education, enthusiasm, and actions of their earlier years. क्योंकि आप बाद में देखेंगे ठाकुर का जीवन में किसी को स्पर्श कर देता है, किसी को देखने में उसका आध्यात्मिक जागरण हो जाता है. Just someone, he looks at someone, is able to convey spiritual awakening. और कई बार ऐसे हुआ तो कल्पतरु दिवस में तो all those present, excepting one or two, were touched by him and all had spiritual awakening. So, as against this, how were they in the earlier years? बचपन में तो we find that he is a very ऐसे खेल कूद में ऐसे कोई लड़का ऐसे लग रहा था. But suddenly how it is? So naturally, this volume will completely tell us in detail about the transformation of Gadadhar into Sri Ramakrishna, you can say. So in the case of Sri Krishna, Ramchandra, etc., we don't get details. For example, it says, how Krishna, the darling of the gopis of Vrindavan, was transformed into Krishna of Dwarka. जब वो राजा बन गए. How this happened? We do not know. Similarly, the great life of Jesus, before he became such a redeemer of mankind, वो मनुष्य जाति के लिए अपना उन्होंने प्राण त्यागा. How he became Jesus the Christ, the savior of mankind. So that we don't know. Because from the age of 17 to 30, no details are available about Christ's life. There are many theories that he had come to India, had come to the eastern part of the globe and got spiritual instructions वगैरह बहुत सारे बोलते रहते हैं. About Ramchandra also, nothing. शंकराचार्य बाद में उन्होंने इतना किया, we come to know, but what was his sadhana, कितनी साल किया, कहाँ गया, we don't have. So महाराज पूछ रहे हैं ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? Why is it? Why this is happening? One thing, because he says perhaps devotees did not want to record, क्योंकि उन्होंने भी दूसरी मनुष्य की तरह बहुत उनका मेहनत करना पड़ा, साधन करना पड़ा, संग्राम करना पड़ा. Yet also to struggle like other ordinary mortals. Then they cannot be worshipped as God. Maybe they had that fear. इस कारण से they have not written all those struggles, etc. They only written अंत में क्या किया, कितना बड़ा बना. Only all those details they have given. Their earlier life struggle, etc. They have not given. Because devotees always want to see their masters' ideals as fully perfect. कोई ही उनका, there is nothing, कमतियां कुछ नहीं थी. That kind of an idea they want to promote. They don't want to accept that their masters were also human beings. They also suffered like that. See, for example, you take the life of Gadadhar. He was deeply affected by the passing away of his father. बहुत दुख हुआ उनका. He would used to go and simply sit in the smashan. उसी से तो वैराग्य जन्म लिया उनके अंदर. Seeing the death of his father, he was so much moved. Then he started going and sitting in the burial grounds, etc. And of course, he was also like other children, playful and all that. बाद में भी we see he would like to eat jalebis. He will hide them when others come, if children come. So, it was not that he did not have any human sides at all. He always used to make fun. बहुत कुछ मजाक उड़ाते थे, बहुत बातचीत करते थे. All those used to happen. He was not always in samadhi. ऐसे सबको आप आशीर्वाद दे देते. It was not that. He was not always immersed in samadhi like that. At the moments, in a trice, he could go into samadhi. But other times he was very playful. He was used to make a lot of fun, love to joke. सबको खिलाते थे, खुद भी कुछ लेते. So he was like, for all other purposes, he was like a human being. But there were extraordinary spiritual heights also, which those who come regularly, those who used to spend time, they all used to feel, they all used to really realize, yes, it's possible. So that is why, there were, many were even saying that इस कैंसर वो भी वो ऐसा सचमुच नहीं है, कुछ बीमार नहीं है, दिखा रहे हैं. Is he has some purpose, so he's only feigning to be seriously ill. Maybe there are other reasons. He wants to do something else. He wants to prepare Narendranath. So सब ठीक हो जाए, then he will be again back to normal health. ये भी ऐसे भी सोच रहे थे. So because devotees themselves have a lot of problems, weaknesses, difficulties. So they don't want to give any of those human attributes to their own masters or their objects of worship, etc. So at the early stage of devotion, a devotee cannot imagine God as being devoid of power. In the course of time, devotion deepens and love for God is established. Thinking of God as all powerful then becomes an obstacle in the path of devotion. The mature devotee shuns that attitude. All devotional scriptures declare this repeatedly. So पहले तो बहुत ही एक तरह डरित होता है. Always he thinks God is all powerful. That is how one starts the journey. But जितना नजदीक जा रहे हैं, the more and more they get closer to God, to sadhana, they understand, no, it's an embodiment of love, embodiment of affection. They become closer. They no longer want to think that God is all powerful. एक तरह दूर लगेगा उस समय. They feel that if he is all powerful, how can he go anywhere near him? They don't want to think about that. They want to think about their own dear God, so personal, so loving, so kind, जिसके मैं नजदीक जा पाऊंगा. मेरा जितने भी दोष है, गलतियां हैं, he will forget, he will guide us. ऐसा सोच रहे. So यशोदा बहुत सारे उन्होंने देखा श्री कृष्ण के अंदर, बाल गोपाल के अंदर. Yet she would उसकी शासन करती थी. She would used to scold him. She would correct him, reprimand him. But she also had seen the other sides. जो उसकी मुंह के अंदर सारा दुनिया देख लिए थे. All the whole world she could see in his mouth. And बहुत सारी घटनाएं, how the small child he could kill some of the asuras, etc. But ऐसा ढक जाता था. She was not always remembering all that. Her memory was, my own Mary Gopal. So, how to take care of him, how to feed him. Kuch kiya to natkar. Then she would scold him, she would reprimand him. See, one always thinks that he is God himself. Can you ever behave like that? No. So, this is the beauty of avatars. Similarly, the gopis, they knew that Krishna was the Lord of the universe. Yet, they could think him only of as their beloved. There, ऐसे कोई कृष्ण के उन लोग सोचते थे. So when the devotees, कभी कभी भक्त लोग ना श्री राम से पूछते थे, मेरा ऐसे ही दर्शन करवा, मेरा इष्ट देवता है, मैं उसके दर्शन करना चाहता हूँ. They will plead, but Sri Ramakrishna would not agree. इसलिए ऐसे मत पूछो, क्योंकि if you have that vision, you will be so frightened. इतना डर लगेगा तुमको ना, बहुत फंस जाओगे. Don't ask for that. But they will again and again they will ask. Then he says, if you think of God like that, then you cannot serve him the way you do it. Feeding him, नया नया कपड़ा पहनाते हैं, खाना खिलाते हैं, भोग चढ़ाते हैं. All those things you will not be able to do if you have the darshan of the Ishta which you are asking. So you would discourage. And again and again they would say, sir, आपकी कृपा से तो सभी संभव है. You can make the impossible possible. Why don't you give us? Then you would simply say that, can I bring about anything? It's all mother's wish. उस समय सब माँ की इच्छा से होती है, मैं क्या करूं? Then if they still insist, then you say, whatever you wish shall be the mother's will. Because aapki ichha hai to maa ki ichha. Your wish is mother's will. Why are you saying like this? Then you will say, मैं तो सबको ऐसे ऐसे चाहता हूँ. I wish that all of you are great spiritual realizations. But it does not happen. It's not always happening. But somehow he has prayed this much. Those who come here, mother, at least give them something. Otherwise, how will they have faith? They come here so many years. What will people tell? They went to Sri Ramakrishna for so many years. कुछ भी नहीं मिला. ऐसा ना हो जाए. You give them something, mother, so that they can at least say, yes, we came, we went there and we got something. This much he has prayed. But ज़्यादा उन लोग का ऐसा नहीं, बोलते भी नहीं है, संभव ही नहीं होता था. Then finally you will say, if they keep on insisting, you will keep quiet. Or you will give a sweet smile and say, my child, what more shall I say? Let mother's will be done. You would never, you see, there's a beauty, even in a great spiritually evolved person, even if they have spiritual power, they will not simply give it to anybody like that. See, आधार समझ के करते हैं ना. If you are not capable, supposing suddenly you are sitting here, Sri Ramakrishna appears before you, what will you understand? Either you will fall completely, मूर्छा तो लगी जाएगा भी में, swoon and fall down, और कुछ भी समझ नहीं पाएंगे. So that is not no use. Even to experience something, one should prepare, one should do sadhana, one should come to a state of mind where it is possible. So Thakur Kabir ऐसे नहीं मिला. That is why in the sadhan parv, संपूर्ण रूप से what all he did, how much he struggled, how much he wept, how much did he go to what lengths to get mother's vision. All that will be discussed so that there is no doubt in our mind as to how all these things happen. So, then he says in this connection, see that giving this spiritual power out of turn or exercising one spiritual power out of context, how problematic it can be. That's why Sarath Maharaj here, one incident from Swami Vivekananda's life is quoting here. Swamiji actually, he was from the Brahma Samaj. Brahma Samaj, they did not believe in Nirgun Nirakar Brahman. They would Sagun Nirakar Brahman mante the. They were not for any rupa or form, but they believed in qualities. But Sri Ramakrishna knew that Nath really belongs to the realm of Advaita. उनकी अद्वैत की घर यही वो कहते थे. He belongs to the realm of Advaita. See, whenever you would come, he would give him this book, Ashtavakra Samhita, a high treatise, a very extreme idea of Advaita. ऐसे मेरा पढ़ो नहीं ये फेंक दीजिए. This will be thrown in the dustbin only. What is this? Everything is Brahman. I am God. I don't believe that. Ramkrishna said, no, it's not for you. It's my sake. मैं तो अनपढ़ आदमी हूँ. मेरे को ये पढ़ के सुनाओ. Slowly, he made him understand. And later, Swamiji went on to become one of the greatest preachers of Advaita Vedanta. But it took a long time. But if others read it, Sri Ramakrishna said, no, you keep it. You read Gita. Gita padho, Quran padho. You would not encourage them. But for Narendranath, would always say that you should read this. You read such books. Again, always you encourage him. So, then he was training him in various ways and spiritual disciplines, etc. And slowly, Swamiji was also becoming more and more in that line. Because suddenly, if anything, no one can hold on to that. It happened in the first or second visit when Sri Ramakrishna touched him. Suddenly, वो चिल्लाने लगे. What are you doing? What are you doing? I have parents at home. He felt that he's going to die. So Ramakrishna was trying to infuse some spiritual power into him and find out of his past, etc. नहीं, आज रहने दो, बाद में होगा, करके उनका श्री रामकृष्ण खुद ही शांत किया. Because he was so much overwhelmed by that touch. So it's all possible. It's not impossible. So During the last days of Sri Ramakrishna, in March 1886, when he was at Kashipur garden, Thakur was growing weaker day by day. हर रोज धीरे धीरे बहुत दुबला पत्थर हो रहे थे. And he was very seriously molding the young disciples, particularly Swami Vivekananda, into deep sadhana and molding them. So every day Thakur would talk to him for 2 or 3 hours, or no one else will be there. Only Thakur and Nath alone, they will for 2 3 hours. He would instruct him in various ways. Not only that, he knew that he had to lead a great movement. See, अभी हम लोग पता चलता है. See, this whole organization, everything is mainly because of Swamiji. He was the real, foundation. He was everything. Even now, Swamiji is the real face of the order. बाहर हम लोग दिखा रहे हैं, स्वामी विवेकानंद के दिखा के हम लोग सब चलता है. He is the face of the order, so to say. So Sri Ramakrishna knew. So he was preparing him for a great task. That's why some it used to say that just to prepare Swamiji is feigning as if he was sick. Everything will be all right once he prepares Swamiji. Even itna tak sab kahne lage. So Swamiji was practicing day and night spiritual disciplines. So sometimes, he was feeling slowly some distinct awakening of spiritual power in him. उसके अंदर ऐसे कोई आध्यात्मिक शक्ति की जागरण वो अनुभव कर रहे थे. But uh, he did not test it at anybody, because he was so deeply engrossed in Advaita and order to argue strongly. And when he takes up anything very strongly, he will make everybody agree to his views one. He will not leave. छोड़ते नहीं, सबको अपना मत बना के, then only he will allow them. That kind of vigorous, because he had not grown that much as to realize that there are so many ways in which God can be worshipped, the truth can be realized. बाद में उनका पता होगा. But that time he was very busy only preaching Advaita. So it was Shivratri night. So they're all, they didn't want to disturb the master. So in Kashipur में भी थोड़ी दूरी जाकर पे they had put up a small place where they had set up the shrine, etc. for the worship. So there was, they had finished the first quarter. So 4 na 5 बच्चे लोग बैठे थे. They were meditating. After the first prayer puja was over, so बाकी सब इधर उधर चले गए कुछ काम के लिए. अब फिर आएंगे, लेकिन बीच में उठ के चलेंगे. Only Narendranath and Kali Abhidananda, later on who became Abhidananda, they alone were present. So Adibanda was sitting facing Swamiji. Then he said, you see, Swamiji suddenly told him, Narendranath, you please touch me for a while. And one of those who had gone out for a smoke or something, he came back. He saw Swamiji meditating absolutely motionless like a statue. And Abhidananda was also meditating. His right hand was touching Swamiji's knee and it was shaking. So then, after some time, Swamiji opened his eyes and said, "ठीक है, हो गया." Then he asked him, "How did you feel?" Abhidananda said, "As if one feels a shock wave while touching an electric wire, electric battery, and one's hand trembles. So I felt as I was touching you." Then that other boy asked, "Were your hands trembling of itself as you touched Swamiji, or you were shaking?" He said, "No, I could not keep them steady, though I tried. It was trembling." So इसके बाद कुछ बात नहीं हुआ. And Swamiji भी कुछ समय के बाद सब अपने अपने घर चले गए ने. Second quarter की पूजा कर ध्यान के लिए बैठे गए. Then Abhidananda was deeply absorbed in meditation. Nobody had seen him meditating so absorbed. His body became so stiff and his neck was erect and he was deeply meditating. And then Swamiji also noticed Abhidananda's condition and he said, "Dekho, uska kya hua?" Swamiji dikha rahe the. It's all because of Swamiji's touch. So, when the fourth quarter puja was over at 4 a.m., then Shashi, who later became Ramakrishna, came to the worship room and told Swamiji, Thakur bula rahe, Master is calling you. And then he went to his room and straight Sri Ramakrishna told him, अरे अभी भी तुम कुछ जमाए नहीं, क्यों खर्च कर रहे? Before accumulating anything, why are you frittering away your spiritual powers? First gather it deep within yourself, then you will understand where and how you should use it. क्योंकि आपका मान लीजिए आप कुछ नहीं जानते हैं, आपके पास क्यों 1 करोड़ दे दिया, यू विल नॉट नो हाउ टू यूज इट. आपके पास जो है, इसलिए आपका पैसा भी हो उसका खर्च करने का मेच्योरिटी चाहिए. You should become old enough, wise enough to understand how it can be spent, how it is possible. So he said, first you gather, go deep, then slowly you can do. What have you done? Don't you see what great harm you have done to that boy by infusing your ideas into him? तुमका कितना क्षति पहुंचाया तुम्हारा मालूम है? बिकॉज तुम्हारा अपना सब सोच विचार उसके अंदर डाल दिया था. He was doing sadhana differently in his own way, but you have completely changed his line of sadhana. भविष्य में कभी ऐसा मत करो. ठाकुर बता रहे हैं, he had been following a specific practice for a long time, and now all is spoiled like a miscarriage in the 6th month of pregnancy. Well, what is supposed to happen had happened. From now on, don't do such a thing rashly. The boy is lucky that greater harm did not befall him. He was not totally damaged. To be careful. See, na, कई लोग इधर उधर चले जाते हैं. Before this guru, that guru, people become mad because the guru does not know how to instruct. There are cases, I won't name where it happened. Their life was completely shattered because they went there, got some initiation or something, and neither could they contact the guru, no one is available. If you ask, they say, no, you can't meet him. And they were completely shattered. So, one has to be extremely careful in spiritual life. नहीं तो बहुत ही आप गलत जगह चले जाएं तो क्या होगा मालूम नहीं. So he was very clear, you have done something very serious. Swamiji was completely dumbfounded. उन्होंने इसे नीचे जो किया था, ऊपर बैठ के ही ठाकुर का पूरा पता चला. He understood everything. Because of this incident, the spiritual attitude that Abhedananda had previously cultivated was completely annihilated. Furthermore, because it takes a long time to completely grasp non-dualistic Vedanta, Abhedananda began to behave inappropriately according to his mistaken idea of non-dualism. तो अद्वैत के बारे में तो गलत समझ आया. क्यों? तो ऐसा है, उन्होंने खुद तो विचार करके बात सोच समझ के तो नहीं मिला. Somebody had suddenly infused those ideas in him. So it took a long time. Even Sri Ramakrishna to spend a long time with him to make him understand those ideas. But then slowly he also grew and developed. And only after the passing away the master, of course he went to America, he did great work, etc., etc. But all that's a different story. To those devotees who think that the efforts of an avatara to attain truth and manifest it fully in his life are mere pretense, our response is, we never heard the master express such a view. कई बार ऐसे भी बता रहे ना, एक बड़ा ऐसे कोई आधार है, अवतार है, भगवान है, उनका क्या साधना करना, ये सब दिखावा के लिए, only to show. But Sri Ramakrishna never held such a view. He had told several times, when God incarnates, all his actions become like those of ordinary humans. He assumes a human body and attains perfection through zeal, self-effort, austerity like other human beings. उनका पूर्णत्व, आध्यात्मिक साधना के सचमुच जो मिलने वाला जो फल, how it is संभव through intense sadhana and tapasya like human beings. वैसे वो भी प्राप्त करते हैं. ऐसे वो सिर्फ बैठते हैं सब अचानक आ जाएगा. No. Once he takes a body, just to follow the human discipline. Otherwise, if you read, आप ठाकुर के जीवन के बारे में ऐसे पढ़े, आपका उनके पैदल में कहाँ भी जाना नहीं जरूरत पड़ता था। जब भी होता था ही उड़ा पंखा उड़ा के he would fly. How will you relate to such as Ramakrishna? How will you understand him? Because he is so human, हम लोग थोड़ा मन में विश्वास जगता है, हाँ मैं भी थोड़ा करूंगा, उन्होंने तो किया, इतना साधना किया, मैं थोड़ा भी करूं. So unless there is you in your heart there is some linkage to Sri Ramakrishna, for that he has to behave like a human beings. Yeah, that's why uh, it's very difficult. It's not that they don't do sadhana seriously. Seriously करते हैं, but as they grow older, slowly, all these spiritual qualities in them, they manifest, and they become a great dynamo of spiritual life. Then अचानक जैसे आए वैसे निकल भी जाते हैं. So the spiritual, the lives of extraordinary personalities also, they undergo that kind of a transformation. So they don't just like that without doing anything. No, then they cannot be examples. उनका जीवन में ऐसे साधन की कोई डिटेल्स ही नहीं है, कोई जानते ही नहीं है. Then how can he be your, कैसे वो मार्गदर्शन आपको करेंगे? This is how you should do sadhana. This is the intensity you must develop. This is how you should be for God. So everything he teaches. Then only it is possible. So ये भी ये करें ठाकुर उनकी जो संदेश teachings can be classified into two categories. यहाँ कर एक है भगवत कृपा, दूसरी है पुरुषकार, divine grace and self effort. दोनों, because Sri Ramakrishna sometimes used to say so much about how God is merciful, how he is kind, how he is all grace, how he bestows his best on devotees. वो भी कहते हैं. और कई जगह पे आपका बहुत ही साधना करना पड़ेगा, मेहनत करना पड़ेगा, त्यागना पड़ेगा, to give up, you must renounce, you must do intense sadhana. ये दो आपका पूरी तरह, all this will be occurring in Sri Ramakrishna's teachings. The reader would understand the distinction between them by considering the following sayings of the master. On one hand, he said to the devotees, I have cooked the food, you need only enjoy the meal. That means what? मैं सब बना के रखा, आप बैठ के भोजन कर लो. That means it is complete grace only. आपका कुछ करना पड़ता है, भगवान की कृपा से सब कुछ. आज दूसरे भी बता देते हैं, I cast the mold, you put your mind into it and shape yourself accordingly. And if you can't do anything, give me your power of attorney. So you would say that this is a mold बनाया, इस आँच में आप डाल लो खुद का, then you'll automatically realize. And if you find it difficult, you give me your power of attorney. मेरे जिम्मेवारी दे दो, मैं करूँगा. Then in somewhere else you will say that give up all your desires one by one. Only then will you succeed. Be like a cast-off leaf before a gale. Renounce lust and gold and call on God. ये भी बता देते हैं. हमेशा पुकारो, साधना करो, रो रो के प्रार्थना करो. Be like a, कहते हैं ना, जूटो पत्ता जो उड़ता है हवा में. Be like a leaf which is being tossed here and there by air. So you would say all that. Here he is emphasizing the sadhana aspect, self effort, purushaka. पहले grace की बात कर रहे थे, भगवान कृपा. Here he is talking about self effort. Then you would say, you see, I have done, the 16 parts. You do 1/16. तो मैं तो 16 आना जो किया था, आप एक आना उसके अंदर करो. You do the 1/16th part, and then you will realize. So कई बार महाराज कह रहे हैं, because we do not understand the master's two types of teachings, we fail to determine which one we should follow in our lives. कब क्या करना है, क्योंकि कभी ठाकुर ऐसे खुद का जो मेहनत करने की बात करते हैं, it talks about intense sadhana by oneself. At some places is talking about divine grace. दोनों है, कई जगह पे ऐसे भी उदाहरण है, कुछ भी भगवान की कृपा से उसको, इसका तो of course they always give some other explanation, no? In Thakur's Katham also its famous incident comes. There was someone, उन्होंने बहुत मेहनत किया एक सब साधना करने के लिए, सबके ऊपर बैठ के साधना कर, sitting on a corpse and calling on the divine mother, maybe one particular type of tantra sadhana. So ऐसे तो कोई आपको तो मृतदेह कैसे मिलेगी? इज इट इजी? संभव उन्होंने सब जुगाड़ करके सब जाके बैठ के साधना प्रारंभ करेंगे, उसी समय कहाँ से एक शेर आके वो ले गया, लेके चले गए। उसी जगह पे जो वहां एक पेड़ था उसके ऊपर एक आदमी बैठे थे, वो ऊपर से नीचे उतर के जैसे ही बैठा तुरंत माँ के दर्शन हो गया। यू गॉट द विजन ऑफ द डिवाइन मदर। वो बोला माँ तुम्हारी खेल तो मैं समझ नहीं पा रहा हूँ, वो इतना मेहनत किया, सब जुगाड़ किया, ही ब्रॉट द कार्ब्स एवरीथिंग and he was taken away by the tiger. I did not do anything. I was just sitting. I came down. Immediately I get your vision. What is this? Then mother said, बेटा तुम नहीं जानते हो, पूर्व जन्म में तुमने इतना साधना किया, ये थोड़ा भी बाकी था, उसी तुम्हारा इस जन्म में सब तुम्हारा मिल गया। So anyway, this is only a explanation, ना? साधारण लोग कैसे समझ पाएंगे? You can always say that, oh, it's all due to past birth. खुद का कोई दिक्कत आ जाए तो सब उड़ जाएगा. At the time we won't understand all that. So is always there is a doubt. One should do what? When we should exercise our intelligence, when we should exercise our purushaka, when we should wait only for God's grace. So he's giving an example. At Dakshineshwar, we had a long discussion with Swami Niranjanananda about whether human beings have free will. And then we went to the master for the definite answer. मनुष्य क्या अपना मर्जी से, अपना इच्छा से सचमुच कुछ कर पाएगा क्या? So we are thinking, in our minds there was this doubt whether human beings have real free will at all. Free will means I can do whatever I like. Then they all went to Sri Ramakrishna. He said, he was बहुत उनका हंसी लगा, बोला, he said, you see, is there any free will for anyone? Everything is happening and will happen only according to God's will. People understand this eventually. जो कुछ हो रहा है सब भगवान की वजह से हो रहा है. It's all happening because of God. But it takes time to understand. सहज नहीं है. See why all of us suffer so much of dukkha and misery? ये सब क्यों? Because we don't understand it's all God's will. If our understanding is very complete, nothing will affect us. घर की प्रॉब्लम, हस्बैंड भी प्रॉब्लम, वाइफ की प्रॉब्लम, बच्चे लोग का प्रॉब्लम, नौकरी की प्रॉब्लम, रहने के लिए प्रॉब्लम, एवरीथिंग, गाड़ी घोड़ा, सबको हजार तरीके प्रॉब्लम की हम लोग बात करते रहते हैं. सो मेनी थिंग्स वी आर नॉट एबल टू एक्सेप्ट. व्हाई दिस इज हैपनिंग, व्हाई दिस एंड व्हाई मी. कितने लोग आते हैं ना, महाराज जी वी आर बहुत धार्मिक हूँ हम लोग, वी हैव कुछ भी जीवन में गलत नहीं किया, मेरा एकमात्र बेटा क्यों चला गया, एकमात्र बच्ची चलेगी क्यों? हाउ डू यू आंसर दैट? उस समय कहने से नहीं, आपका पूर्व जन्म में कर्म, मेरे को दो थप्पड़ मार के चले जाएंगे, इसीलिए मैं आपके पास आया करता. So we don't understand. But if you go deeply, ultimately, when there is a spiritual maturity in you, then you will understand everything is happening by God's will. लेकिन ये तो चलने का रास्ता तो बीच में निकलना है ना. अदरवाइज आर वी टू ऐसे कहे हाथ उठा के बैठ जाएंगे, माँ भगवान की इच्छा है, भगवान की इच्छा तो कोई आके मेरे खिलाएंगे, भगवान की इच्छा तो कोई मेरे आके लेके उठा के ले जाएंगे. कैन यू बी लाइक दैट? इवन इफ यू वांट यू कैन नॉट बी. आप कोशिश करो, मैं कुछ नहीं करूंगा, एवरीथिंग इज गॉड्स विल ओनली, आई विल नॉट मेक एनी एफर्ट. अब बैठो, 5 मिनट में बैठ नहीं पाओगे. इट्स नॉट इजी, इट्स नॉट इजी एट ऑल. सो ठाकुर गिव्स अ ब्यूटीफुल explanation. Let me give you an example. A cow is tied to a post with a long tether. एक गाय को इस क्या कहाँ बांध लिया, लंबे रस्सी है. सो वो रस्सी जितनी दूर जा सकता है, उसके अंदर जो घास है खुद ही उसका खाना है. Will anyone come and pluck the grass and feed the cow? घास उठा के कोई खिलाएंगे? नो. मैं ऐसी जगह पे बांध लिया, इतनी दूरी लंबी आपकी रस्सी है. You go about, you make effort, you eat, and then when all that grass is exhausted, then the cowboy comes and takes it and binds it to some other place. That's what he says. A person ties a cow with the intention of allowing her to lie down, stand, or move about as she likes within that area. Man's free will is also like that. Again, similarly, in that area, the cow has the freedom to sit, to go about, to stand, to do anything, to eat, not to eat, but within that distance only. Supposing इसकी जितनी लंबी रस्सी है, उसके 10 फुट दूर में अच्छा कोई चीज है, can it take? No, it is not possible. So, he says God's dispensation of power is also like that. उन्होंने हम लोग को फ्री विल दिया. God himself has given a certain amount of free will, ability to think, ability to do, ability to not do, ability to sit quiet, ability to go about. सब उन्होंने दिया. So जितना संभव हम लोग करेंगे उस समय, then God will come and ultimately he will guide us. साधना के बारे में भी ऐसे ही बता रहे हैं. What is the idea of sadhana? Do as much as possible. जितना संभव करो, मेहनत करो, बहुत प्रयास करो. क्यों? इतना करके समझना खुद का प्रयास से भगवान लाभ नहीं होता. You do intensely all sadhana, prayer, meditation, japa, gantor per ganta, everything you do. Why? To realize ultimately it's only by God's grace you will get anything. But when do you become prepared for God's grace? Till they remove that cow from the tether and tie it at some other place, when it is exhausted, all that is available in that place. उसकी दूर में वही रस्सी की जो लेंथ है पूरी तरह वो कर लिया, तब दूसरी जगह जाके उसके बांधेंगे. Similarly, when you do your best, when you are given everything, then suddenly you will find that it's God's grace that has helped you. आप बिना साधना समझ नहीं पाएंगे. Without intense sadhana, you will never be able to understand how God's grace operates. People think that, oh, अचानक वो बहुत धनी बन गया, कैसे हुआ? You do not know how many hours of hard work that person has put in. 15 घंटा, 16 घंटा, 18 घंटा, ऐसे कर करके. So similarly here also, you go on doing intense sadhana and suddenly you will find the doors are open. God's grace flows, but to do that, one has to do intense sadhana. Without that, it's not possible to understand. So, if you pray intently to God, He can move that person to another place, the same stake, or extend the rope's length, or even take that other away completely. So, everything is possible, but whatever is within your limited capacity, you must do it to the utmost possible level. Then only God will intervene. Then we asked, sir, is it not then in human hands to practice spiritual disciplines? A person might simply say, whatever I do is according to God's will. So कैसे तो बोल देंगे ना, मेरा कुछ करना नहीं है, I will not do anything. Everything is God's will. And Sri Ramakrishna answers, what good does it do to this act? One may say there is no thorn pricking, and still one cries out, and one's hand is pricked by a thorn. आप बोल सकते हैं कुछ नहीं, लेकिन आप चिल्लाएंगे. So you may say that everything is God's will, I don't have to do anything. But no one can sit quiet. Even if you try anything, impossible. गीता में कहते ना, सदृशम चेष्टते स्वस्या प्रकृतेर ज्ञानवान अपि प्रकृतिम यान्ति भूतानि निग्रह किंकर्षि नहीं कश्चित् क्षणमपि जातु तिष्ठति अकर्मकृत् कार्यते अवश्य कर्म सर्वं प्रकृते गुणैः. You will be made to do impossible. No one can sit quiet. But if you do it in the right way, and if you do intense sadhana, at some point of time or other, you will clearly understand how God's grace operates. Operates in such a way that your sadhana becomes meaningful. मैं इतनी साधना किया, इसके क्या कुछ फल नहीं है? फल है. आप इतना साधना किया जिसकी वजह से आपका भगवत कृपा मिला. So unless you do sadhana, you will never understand what is God's grace. So only when you do that, then there will be complete, total empowerment of the devotee. The devotee is totally empowered to enjoy spiritual experiences, to enjoy the company of God, to be in His presence. Sanidhya, Sarupya, Samipya, is of all that, Sayujya, all the stages that are described, all will be possible only when we do intense sadhana. So if practicing spirituality were at one's discretion, everyone would practice them. Why don't they do it? If you don't properly use the power of God has given to you, He won't give you more. That is why one needs self-effort or perseverance. सब क्यों खुश नहीं उपलब्धि क्यों नहीं हो रही? You are not doing whatever power God has given. हाँ? रोज उठ के जब करना है, अरे आज टायर लग रहे हैं, काल कर लो, अरे आगामी दिन कर लो. When do you think God will come and dance before us? जितना संभव है पूरी तरह करना. Then God's grace will be there. Of course, one has to take into account one's health, one's body, one's circumstances. It's all there. Of course, it's also, Sri Ramakrishna himself says, you give me the power of Patani. दे दो, ठाकुर देख लेंगे. Again, it's not so easy as Girish Ghosh found out. For everything he found out that is to take permission. It is much worse than free will. So difficult to give power of attorney to somebody. Then that person, you have to be completely dependent on him. So he says, everyone has to make some effort. Only then one can attain God's grace. One makes the effort by God's grace 10 times, lifetimes of suffering are finished in one lifetime. But one must make some effort even while depending on it. हम लोग हमेशा ये जो कर्म फल की बात करते रहते हैं ना, ठाकुर कह रहे हैं, इफ यू रियली डिपेंड ऑन गॉड, इफ यू डू इंटेंस साधना, आपका 10-10 जन्म में जो मिलने वाला थे, एक जन्म में खत्म हो जाए. सपोज आपका सिर तोड़ना था, you have to lose your head, then maybe some small thorn will prick your foot, and with that हो जाएगा. Something has to happen, and that will be greatly lessened. Bhagavan also, Karmaphala does not wipe out completely. He makes it happen in a small way. को बहुत कुछ क्षति पहुंचाना था, but he may get it in a small way. So we can, it's a very interesting idea. Now discussions are happening, so everybody can participate and we can take it further. Next week, 23 तारीख हम लोग फिर करेंगे. So now if you have any questions to ask, anyone knows, those who are attending, it's why always this Google Meet especially arranged because those who are online also can ask questions if they want. किसी को पूछना है तो माइक ऑन करके आप पूछ सकते हैं. Otherwise, we'll meet again next week. आप भी, आपके अंदर भी कोई किसी के प्रश्न है तो पूछ सकते हैं. Otherwise, we'll see next week.
प्रणाम महाराज.
हाँ, यस, आप कुछ पूछना चाहते हैं?
ना ठीक है महाराज.
ओम शांति शांति शांति. हरि ओम तत्सत. श्री रामकृष्ण अर्पणमस्तु. So please remember on